The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the opinions of the staff or management of Visionary Related Entertainment.
Aloha and welcome to Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where you'll find us talking story with Maui's nonprofit executive directors and staff to find out how they're working to support the needs within our community. Maui Nonprofit Notes is generously sponsored by Pacific Source. If you're building or remodeling a home, please stop by Pacific Source's cabinet and appliance showroom located in the Waikapu Base Yard. I'm Susie Tiemann, executive director of Lokahi Pacific, and your host for Maui Nonprofit Notes. During this hour, we're going to share some of the experiences of our nonprofit agencies and just how they're changing lives, changing communities, and creating miracles of hope for those with needs. Today, we're going to start off the show talking to Diane Petropoulos, who is the mediator extraordinaire at Maui Mediation Services. Is that going too far? No.
Yes, we have some extraordinary mediators there. I may be one of those.
One of the extraordinaire. Okay. I like that. We, I know we had you guys on a little while ago or several weeks ago talking about some of your other programs. And did you have a training class coming up when we did that show? Something?
Actually, there's a training coming up soon, a brown bag training. So essentially a very brief set of examples of what could be a longer training if someone is so inclined to bring it into their workplace.
Oh, I see. This is when you take to their office or
Correct.
their business, and it would train work with the situation in their office.
Yes, it's a customized workshop so that instead of being the same for each workplace, there's work done ahead of time to pinpoint what the issues are, what they expect the exit competencies to be. So
I gotcha.
What do we really want to accomplish? There's always plenty of things to talk about.
Yeah.
So we try to fine-tune it.
Do you do that quite often with different sessions or programs?
Yes.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm not sure. I think maybe I do remember hearing that before, but for most of what I think we've talked about on the show, it's been the more group settings.
Exactly. We've talked often about the basic mediation training,
right,
which is a much more consistent curriculum. But for something like workplace conflict and increasing productivity, that has to be matched to the folks that are going to be sitting in the room.
Right. What is there a number that you kind of use as a guide to when something like this is appropriate? I mean, is it appropriate for an office that has like 4 or 5 people in it?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Or 20?
Or more.
Or more, okay.
I mean, I've presented this, for example, to County of Hawaii, so Big Island, both on the Kona side and on the Hilo side. So with large numbers in each of those settings.
I see. Interesting. Is it something, well, let's get to what we're talking about here. We're talking about a workshop that you're going to be doing. It's a brown bag presentation to give an overview of what could be presented in a workshop like this. It's titled Decreasing Workplace Conflict and Increasing Productivity. Is this one of those things where there's a sense that this is needed right now? I mean, is it an issue that you hear more and more about?
I'm going to say on the increasing productivity part, that's always been in place. And the reason I say that is because for the financial cost of conflict, I'm not sure a lot of folks realize that when you and I aren't getting along, for example, if we're coworkers, that in fact there's a dollar amount that can be assigned to what we're costing our office. So that's always been there. Now, if we say, well, there's a changing landscape, there's different challenges in the workplace these days, sure. But this particular issue, the financial cost, that's unbudgeted, and that is not in any line item.
Right.
And yet you may find that your business or your agency is not thriving.
Right. So the cost can be having to do things over several times, maybe, not getting it done on time, not getting it done right. Period. Help me out here. What are some of the other things that
One of
enter
the
into
big
that?
ones is how much time you and I, as coworkers, might spend not doing our work, but in fact fussing back and forth with each other. So I'm going to give you a number. It varies depending on your source, but somewhere around 40 to 50% of your time and my time, when we have a serious conflict, we're not spending it on our work. We're spending it on how we avoid each other or how we talk to other folks. They call that going sideways on it. How we talk to other folks about it. But we're not doing the work we are expected to do.
Interesting. So it's that go to the person who's your friend and discuss what happened with the other one, because you'll get a friendly answer from that one and reinforce what you think, which doesn't help the situation at all.
No, it causes it to deteriorate further.
Right.
And the other time that I want you to think about for a minute, whoever our supervisor is spending a chunk of their time dealing with our not being able to deal with each other.
Right. Yeah, right. Dealing with or not dealing with each other. Good line. And that I can see that. I think of all the different offices that I've been in and that I've worked in over the years, and I can just I see faces in front of me when this comes up. You know, it's like, oh man, I remember when those two got into it, and it was like, no, how long is this going to take to get resolved? And sometimes the boss doesn't want to get into it. They want to just let it kind of die, but they don't die. I mean, it doesn't just go away.
Actually, that was exactly what I wanted to point out to you. Avoidance is not a strategy. It's not going to go away because right after you avoided it, it's still there.
Right.
But I agree with you that many folks, whether they're a manager or a supervisor, in other words, they're in a position to perhaps advise us because we're not getting along, they're not necessarily comfortable giving that advice. They're not really feeling that they have the answer to getting us to stop focusing on each other and how it's not working and do our work so that the whole office can thrive.
Interesting. As I look back over and see those faces again, it's like, yeah, most of them never got worked out. Somebody left.
Well, that if you want another example of financial cost, it's replacing an employee. Mm-hmm. So all of you listening, you and I could immediately think about all the cost it takes to hire a new person. But here's the gist of it. Is the new person on her first day anywhere near as efficient and productive as the person who left was their last day? No matter how difficult the situation was, look at the time and money that's going to be spent here.
Right. Wow. If in nothing else, history of the situation of the company or whatever it is they're dealing with, you can't read a book about it.
There's a couple of books that might help.
Okay.
I can certainly talk about those in the workshop, especially at the Brown Bag, pointing people in some directions that may be helpful to them.
Interesting. So, if you some of the things that you've got on your flyer here, like, are you tired of destructive workplace behaviors? And is it possible that people don't realize what they're doing when this is going on?
I think you're correct. I think many times we don't have a very good idea of how what we do lands on someone else. And how many of us immediately want to tell that person how it's landing on us? We'd rather just hope that they see it eventually and the behavior changes.
Doesn't work very often.
No.
I thought I saw that coming. Because the reality is, unless you talk about it, hey, we've got a problem, we got to sit down and work this out. And unless you do that, it just persists, maybe lays low, but it's underlying everything that's going on.
And then it'll pop up at the most inopportune time.
Gotcha. What are common avoidable workplace challenges? That's one of your sidebar notes here.
Okay. So what I want to talk about on challenges is it can be anything as simple. We think it's simple. It sounds simple. Well, she plays her music too loud at her desk and I can hear it. Well, that should be solvable, but maybe it isn't. Maybe one person thinks, well, then just don't listen to it. Or why don't you put a headset on? Or have you heard of earbuds? But there's not the commitment to talk it out and figure out what works for both of them.
I gotcha. Okay. So when you put in, if you block the sound of the radio, you're blocking everything else too.
So how are you going to answer the phone when it rings?
Gee. At some point this starts to sound like school kids with a problem, even though we're adults. But we do, there are times when we do act like school kids.
Well, the issues may be a little different, but
yeah,
sometimes our emotions come up, we get unhappy with the other person, and we look at the other person as the problem rather than how do we solve this noise in the office. So if we can take the attention off, oh, I'm getting tired of her doing that every day, and take it to, well, how do we solve that? That can be a big shift. And that can go from destructive conflict to constructive problem solving. There's some steps in between, but that's what you can get to.
Interesting. So there's a lot of hand-holding in that process, I can see.
It depends on whether the two of us, I'm going to use you and me again as coworkers,
Okay.
whether the two of us can listen to each other without getting angry with each other.
Okay.
So we may have a disagreement, but it may simply lead to, all right, you want to hear some stuff, I don't really want to hear it all the time, let's figure it out. And that can be simple problem solving, and it doesn't have to move into a destructive conflict. But the more common is it's already at nuclear level, and now we have to step it back.
Okay.
So we may need, because we've already gotten angry with each other, rather than focusing on the problem solving, we may need someone, a supervisor, a mediator, a facilitator, to walk us through enough of the problem solving that we can get to something that works for both of us.
Have you ever seen a situation where it just can't happen?
I've seen some thorny situations that you're hoping that it will eventually resolve, but as you said earlier, given the situation, sometimes someone leaves.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part. If you lose someone that's very valuable, and yet a little bit of proactive work might have saved the situation.
And I'm guessing the most the person you want to keep the most is the one that leaves, because they know they can go do something anywhere because they're good.
Well, I'm not sure I have an opinion on that one.
No, but it's one of those things where I as I look at those different situations over the years, and I'm seeing, the same kind of thing happens between neighbors. Some little issue, 6 months later, it's a bigger issue. It grows like a tree until at some point you get somebody out there, just chop it down, and to heck what they think about it.
Yes, that's the nuclear solution.
But with people, it's a tough one sometimes, because, like you say, even using the music example, it's the music, soft, gentle, is kind of calming. in a workplace. But some people, their idea of the music has got to be bouncy or getting into the, I don't want to say reggae and all this kind of stuff. But it seems like the different kinds of music get played at different volumes because that's what that music's all about.
Right, right.
And the last thing you need is somebody new coming into your office and bringing the old boombox kind of version with them, only it's in the iPhone. And, they turn it up. Or they're sitting there with their earphones or buds in, and they can't hear anything else.
Right. You can't hear me if I say, "Hey, Susie, what about that?" And I thought we were going to talk about a memo that was sent last week. But until I get your attention by physically waving at you, you don't know I'm talking to you.
Interesting.
But I do want to add something here. These are different work styles. I don't want to call them incompatible. I want to say that it can be worked out if we make the effort to think our way through what helps you, what helps me, and how do we then do this. So I don't want to say, oh, it shouldn't be loud music or it should only be soft music. I want to say, how will we conduct ourselves with each other? How do we behave with each other in order to make that work for each of us?
I got you. And in the best interest of the company.
Absolutely. That's the bottom line.
That's where it should all be focused. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we are back. This is Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where we talk story with our Maui nonprofit directors and staff to find out what's happening in their world. And for the first half of the show, we're talking with Diane Petropoulos, who is doing a brown bag presentation, you're calling it, on decreasing workplace conflict and increasing productivity. I can't even say the word. Shame on me. I think the interesting from what we've been talking about is that sometimes we don't realize little things that we do that are bothersome in the workplace, and cause some little rifts periodically for people, especially if you're in a space that's open and everybody's desks are sitting there and everybody can see everybody, and I'm describing somebody's workplace. I can see it right now. And we laugh at some commercials we see on TV where there's a big open space and stuff happens, and you think, does that really happen? I mean, my office is so spread out that we all have an office, and you have to. I don't like that because you don't know whether anybody's there or not. There have been times when people have gone home at night and it's all of a sudden 6 o'clock and I'm going, where's everybody? I walk out and they're gone, and I look at my watch and, I guess they're gone. We're done at 4:30. But it's things that just kind of interrupt the flow of work.
Okay, so let me give you another example. We were talking about the music.
Uh-huh.
You might like it one way, I might like it another. Another big piece that I think folks miss is their word choice. So they'll say something that they think is perfectly straight up. It's not meant to be offensive. It's meant to give feedback. And yet the other person will receive it as a very critical, unpleasant comment. So for me, word choice is a crucial way of keeping good relations in the office. And whether your desk is next to me and that conversation takes place there, or there's a few desks in between and it takes place over those, you can see how it could lead to some difficulties. So I want to give you an example of a blaming kind of statement. So this is the kind of statement that's going to antagonize just about anyone who hears it.
Okay.
So you and I are talking about a PowerPoint presentation. You're preparing it, you and I have discussed it, and you're taking the lead on it. So you bring it back to me, I've just looked at it or had it presented to me, and I say something like, well, this is way too long. This isn't what we discussed. What were you thinking? So I've both criticized it but not given you any pointers of how I would like to see it changed, and I've made you feel defensive. What were you thinking? So I just want to shift that, and we can do these kinds of examples in the workshop. I want to shift that to something that sounds more like, this PowerPoint's really good. I think if we pare it down to maybe just 10 slides, it'll be great. Now what have I done? I've told you specifically what I see, and that opens that discussion. Well, maybe 15 would be better, but that's a discussion. And the second part is I've encouraged you, and we're still on the same page rather than combating each other. So I think word choice is crucial in the workplace.
Interesting. Very interesting. And you're right, it is. I think we've all said things that 2 minutes after we say them, we're sitting there going, that didn't come out right. That's
Well,
not what I wanted to say.
My suggestion is precisely that. Say that to me.
Yeah.
Diane, what I just said, that's not exactly what I wanted to say. Would you let me start over? Let me say it a different way. Nip it in the bud right then. Give a chance for this to stay civil instead of my going home thinking, do I want to come back to work tomorrow because I've blown it all out of proportion?
Right. The longer you think about it, the worse it becomes.
Yes.
And by letting you stew overnight,
Yeah.
I've got something to eat I don't want.
Yeah. So that's another area that we'll talk about in the brown bag, and is a large part of the workshop itself. The workshop itself is a 4-hour workshop, so we have plenty of time to go into a lot of different areas.
But now the brown bag that you're presenting is an hour and a half,
Yes.
just
so,
to hit on some of the topics.
Yes. So my topics for that will be, as I mentioned, the financial cost, because I want people to understand why I think it's foolish to let conflict keep building. I'll talk about improving workplace relations. We just gave some examples back and forth, the music, or how to give someone feedback and make it palatable instead of offensive to them. The other piece is how do you officially, formally get a hold of changing destructive conflict into constructive? How are you really what are you going to say, what are you going to do to make sure that people are able to shift from what they know is not working well, but they don't have a lot of other ideas of how to shift it? So that's in the brown bag.
Gotcha. That sounds like a big one. That sounds like a big part of it. It's, I guess, too often we just kind of go day by day and see what happens and that kind of thing. And when it comes to conflict, that's not the way to handle it.
No, I don't think so. I think the sooner you get after it and pay attention to it, instead of hoping it'll go away, the more successful you're likely to be.
Right. Very good. Last minute thoughts. Your time is almost up.
Okay. Well, on that topic of different working styles, if I say drivers versus explorers, does that start to give you an idea I might be a driver. I'm always zipping forward, and man, I can just see everything I want to do. And you might be an explorer that wants to look at various ideas. But if I hear the idea that I think's great and I run with it, what happens when I come back to you and present that and you haven't even made a decision yet? So what happens? I potentially criticize, well, what's taking her so long? And I also have already done some work, and now I'm invested in the way I thought we were going forward.
Right.
So how do you handle that? It's, again, understanding how we should behave with each other, because we understand that there's two styles in play.
I gotcha. Do people who have, like, you know, we always do this thing with, we all went to the same school kind of thing. I know I've said to some of my family members, well, we grew up in the same family. How come we think so differently and act so differently and react differently? And it's like, what is it? Exposure to other people that's caused that, or is it just us? And I think I hear that once in a while. Well, you know, we wouldn't do that back at Maui High. You know, if we were still in high school, you'd be wanting to do this. Does that have any place in the workplace?
The way I see it, it does have a place, is respect for where the person is now, rather than going into the past. What do you have in front of you? Work with that. So that's kind of a subtle way to criticize you're not doing something I want you to do. But frankly, that's not how to get your cooperation, is it?
No.
And that's another word choice piece.
Gotcha. Okay. Lots to learn in this hour and a half.
Well, a lot of it, of course, is communication work. And what I'm hoping to do is take it to a much higher level and put it specifically in the workplace. So people that come to this workshop have some ideas when they leave that they can try out.
That's great. In that hour and a half, you're not going to have time to do some role playing or anything like that.
I will do some mini role playing. Okay. It'll take the form just like we did of, well, you're thinking this, I'm thinking that. How do we get that to head in the same direction?
Right.
In the longer class, yes, of course, I do role playing,
yeah.
Especially on how to write a conversation gone wrong.
Okay. We back up a step. Okay, I got you. Diane, thank you for being here. And this is coming up on Wednesday, August 29th. That's like 2 weeks from today.
Yes, at the Cameron Center, right upstairs from Maui Mediation Services.
Okay, and this is a free presentation. And for reservations, call 244-5744.
Yes, and you can also email the agency, so info@mauimediation.org.
Great. Okay, and about how many, is this going to be in that auditorium
Yes,
room?
it'll be in the
hold
auditorium,
quite a few
so
people?
yes, we won't turn anyone away. There'll be plenty of space.
Gotcha. Very good. So everybody plan a long lunch for Wednesday, August 29th, 12:30 to 2 p.m. at Cameron Center.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Cynthia.
Diane. It's always a pleasure having you here, and I always learn something from you.
Oh, I think I learned from you, too.
Uh-oh. Wonder if yours is as positive as mine is. I'll give you some thoughts for your comments on your presentation. I think that one of these days I'm going to make it to one of these workshops.
You'd be most welcome.
I know there's some things that I've done wrong. I mean, I've only been in the office field for, I don't want to say how long, long time. But it's there's some things that never change, and I think some of this is that. We try to look at it a little differently maybe as we age, as we get more experience. And sometimes we kind of slough things off saying, oh, well, they're so much younger than I am. They don't understand all this stuff. And I try to bring down my comments to their level. Now, see how degrading that was,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
I really nailed that one, didn't I?
Yes. And that's just judgments, opinions that come out natural for all of us. And going back to your point early on, if you understand how that lands on the other person, you have so much better chance of having a really positive workplace relationship.
Right.
You don't need to be friends, although you might very well be, but you need to be able to work together effectively.
Right. Thank you very much. I will take that to heart. I never said that last sentence.
We didn't hear it.
No, but I'm afraid there's a bunch of people out there that did. But it's like I said, we say things. They come out. And in situations, sometimes we're more focused on the point of the issue than how we're saying it or how we're showing it or whatever. And we can't understand why other people don't see it the same way. That's what makes the world go round. Thanks, Diane, and I know you're going to have a crowd at your workshop on Wednesday, August 29th, Decreasing Workplace Conflict and Increasing Productivity. Thanks again. Maui Mediation Services. Next up, we have the folks from MAPA. Woo! Whoa, how about that? We've got you've got something coming up here really fast, don't you?
We do. We have a couple of somethings coming up, and one particularly quickly. Hi, this is Peggy Harmon. I guess I should introduce myself.
I was going to do that when there was a break in the conversation.
When I stopped talking?
You stopped, yeah, but that would have been 2 o'clock this afternoon, so forget
exactly.
it.
Hey, you got
See, I did it again, didn't I? Okay.
Yes, but I took it all right.
Yeah. Hooray.
We got a couple of actors in the room. We're going to just start talking.
Absolutely.
And there's another one.
So
yes. Oh, well, this is Liana Locke. Now I'm introducing myself. Yes, I'm here too.
I know you guys aren't bashful, so I'm not worried about introducing you. And Leanna was with us last time. Was it last time?
I think
Or the time before? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
And are you in...
I am in Into the
Woods.
Woods. We have Into the Woods opening up next weekend on August 24th. And I'm playing Cinderella.
Are you?
Yes.
Whoa.
And a most glorious Cinderella.
Wow. Okay, now tell me what you can about this musical.
Well, this particular musical was written by Stephen Sondheim and James Lapine, and it's basically taking the fairy tales as we know them, Grimm's fairy tales, and turning them on their head a bit. In Act 1, you see what you probably remember from the traditional Grimm's fairy tales, and in Act 2, we see what happens after Happily Ever After, which may not be what you expect.
Oh, really? So the first part, it's as usual. And then all of
Pretty
a sudden,
much,
it's
yeah.
like behind the scenes
A little bit, yeah.
and going forward.
So what happens after Cinderella marries the prince?
Exactly,
For instance,
exactly.
and Rapunzel runs away with her prince. What happens then? Or Little Red Riding Hood. So it's the characters from a bunch of different fairy tales. And the first act is really quite funny. A lot of humor. And then the second act, as Liana said, it's just life.
Yeah, it's reality.
Oh, yeah. Can we
Life
get it
takes
for
over.
instance without giving away too much?
Oh. I don't know. I don't want to give anything away. I don't want to give anything away.
Okay, all right.
You have to
no
come
fun.
see the
You
show.
have to come see it.
I see.
What I will say is it's a mature take on these fairy tales. So this show is definitely for adults. It's absolutely hilarious. It's also going to touch your heart. It's going to really make you think and laugh your face off. So
Well, I can't beat that.
Everything you want when you go to the theater.
right.
Gotcha. I gotcha. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
Well, Susie has left the room and left the people from MAPA in control of the studio. I'm not sure if that was a mistake or not.
So it's the MAPA show now. Welcome back.
So Liana Locke, who is one of the stars of Into the Woods, which opens at the MAC next Friday, August 24th. She will be playing Cinderella. She's here talking a little bit about the show. And this is Peggy Harmon, who's the Director of Development at MAPA. I would encourage you to get your tickets as soon as you can. You just have to call the Maui Arts and Cultural Center box office, 242-SHOW, or go onto their website, mauiarts.org, and get your tickets today. You won't want to miss this.
Yes, this is a particularly fabulous cast. We have an A-list of actors and singers in here. Some that you see a lot and a few that you haven't seen in a while. For example, Kirsten Otterson was a regular on the Maui stage for years and was kind of on hiatus. You've seen her every once in a while, but she is back and in full force. She's playing the witch with us this year and is doing a phenomenal job. She's up there with her son, Keegan Otterson, who's playing Jack, as in Jack and the Beanstalk. And we've got Lena Kruger, we've got Jerry Eiding, we have Bob Wills, we have Francis Tawa.
We have Ricky Jones, who is well known for playing Elf.
Yes.
So come see Elf, and he's Rapunzel's princess in this production.
Yes, and so many more. The wonderful thing about this piece is it's truly an ensemble piece with lots of leading and supporting roles, lots of opportunities for everybody to help tell the story.
And I do want to give a shout out to our major sponsors. The only way we're able to do this big production at the Maui Arts and Cultural Center every summer, we started 6 years ago with Les Mis, is because of the generosity of some incredible donors. And this year, our for the second year in a row, we're partnering with the Makana Aloha Foundation to bring this production to the MAC. We also have incredible support from Karen Barrett and Deborah Viale. We have support from Jack and Anne-Marie Wilder, Mason and Trudy Williams, and Sarah Patton and Gary Thompson. Plus, I would say another 50 wonderful donors who have stepped forward to help us bring this production to the MAC. So I want to always say a big thank you to those folks who make this possible for us every summer. So Liana, I want you to tell everybody about the QR codes on the posters.
Yes. So we have a little special going on. You may have seen our posters out and about, as well as coffee sleeves. You can find them at a lot of the local coffee shops, including Wailuku Coffee Company and Coffee Attic in Wailuku. I think they're at Whole Foods, and I know several other places on island.
Maui Coffee Roaster.
Maui
probably.
Coffee Roasters has them too. Okay, so look on those coffee sleeves. You'll find a little QR code, which you can use your phone to read. When you scan it, you can then actually listen to a little bit of the show. There's about 5 different versions of them, and if you find all 5 and take a picture and send that over to us at mauiacademy.org, you can send them to Peter at mauiacademy.org, you could possibly win tickets to Into the Woods, free tickets.
Whoa.
So get out there and look for these QR codes. I'm going to give you a little sample right now. Hold on one second.
So Liana's getting her phone because
I thought she was going to sing for us.
Nope. Well, it may be Liana singing. We don't
Might
know.
be.
We don't know which.
We don't know which one it'll be.
Which one it'll be when she does it.
So I pull out my phone, and on iPhones, all you have to do is act like you're going to take a picture of the little QR code, and it'll recognize it as a QR code, and a link will pop up. So once that link pops up, you try to open it, And then
Into the woods and down the dell, the path is straight, I know it well. Into the woods, and who can tell what's waiting on my journey? Into the woods to bring some bread to Granny, who is sick in bed. Never can tell what lies ahead, for all that I know, she's already dead.
Is Granny already dead?
Ooh.
Come find out this summer when Map Alive whisks you into the woods on an edgy and enchanting musical adventure leading beyond happily ever after. Showing August 24th through September 2nd at the Max Castle Theater. For tickets, go to mauiarts.org or call 242-SHOW. That's 242-7469. Come into the woods.
So there's 5 different versions. That was obviously Little Red Riding Hood, played by Casey Murphy. So go out and find all 5 of them. Send them to Peter at mauiacademy.org and earn an opportunity to possibly win free tickets to Into the Woods.
So there'll be a drawing of all those who enter or something.
It's actually the first person to get all 5.
Oh, okay.
And Peter will be, if somebody reaches out to him, he'll be able to give him the final details to get them, to make them eligible.
Now, are there 5 characters? Is that what we're doing? 5?
There's
Is that why
way more than 5.
In
There's
the first?
There's way more
Okay,
than
yeah.
5. But we have 5 different versions. So there's a Cinderella version. There's a Little Red version. I think the baker's wife sings one of them. Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk, and then we have an ensemble one where you actually hear the entire ensemble singing a little piece. The music in this show is absolutely fabulous. If you're familiar with Stephen Sondheim at all, he is
Always.
a brilliant composer and lyricist, and has definitely shown that in his work with Into the Woods. So we're all, as actors, we're all really excited to be working with this material and share it with everybody.
This is the first time for Into the Woods, right here?
No, actually, it was done. I want to say about 15 years ago at Maui on Stage, and then MAPPA also did a production of it back in the 90s.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think when they were still Maui Youth Theater.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So it's been done a
interesting.
couple times on Island.
But it has been a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're very excited to bring it back.
Yeah.
And it grows and it gets more purposeful every time.
So Susie,
Yes.
after we finish,
I'm
you
gonna
get
scan
to scan your QR code and just see if somebody else comes up.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll see.
Sounds cool.
So the other thing we have coming up is the garden party.
Yes.
This is MAPPA's 30th annual garden party. Oh my heavens.
What?
And the woman who chairs this event every year has not chaired it every year for 30 years, but she has actually worked on it every single year for 30 years. And I just want to give a big shout out to Linda Howlett, who is a volunteer and board member extraordinaire for Maui Academy of Performing Arts. Linda and her husband Jim have been involved since it was Maui Youth Theater, and their daughter Lisa was participating in the shows. So can't say enough great things about Linda. So it's our 30th annual this year. It's September 30th, so 30 and 30.
Whoa, there you go.
Easy
What are we
to
gonna do with
remember.
that?
Right.
It's at the Yokouchi Estate here in Wailuku, so very, very easy to get to. And honestly, it's the best deal in town. $75 is all inclusive for food from 808 on Main, Betty's Beach Cafe, Bistro Casanova, Cafe Olay, Duke's, Fleetwood's, Fork and Salad, Hula Grill, Kahili, Maui Tacos, Nick's Fish Market, Shearwater Tavern, Sugar Beach, Threes, Vasi's. I mean, we have an
List goes on.
amazing group of restaurants, and then Paradise Beverages always provides fabulous wines to go with. We'll have wonderful entertainment, and then, of course, silent and live auction. And start working on your hats now. We have a hat contest.
Right. Garden party hat contest.
So, Susie, have you started working on your hat?
I can't say that I have.
What?
What?
I'm shocked.
Oh, man. That is too cool. And this is, now, has it been held the same place pretty much?
Yes, in recent years it has been. The Yokohachis have been wonderful. We're one of a couple of fortunate nonprofits that have been allowed to have an annual event there, and so it's always a Sunday afternoon from 1 to 5, and we love the location, and people seem to love it too.
And it's always a beautiful afternoon.
Oh my gosh, yes, yeah. It's going to be glorious, and we do have, tents and tables under tents this year, so that if it gets too hot or if the weather shifts, you're perfectly protected. So there's lots to see and do. The time will move very quickly.
I'm sure it will, and the entertainment, of course, comes from the folks from MAPA.
Absolutely.
It does.
Oh, we're going to hear some stuff from Into the Woods and some of the other
Possibly.
performances.
We don't know what we're going to give you yet. You
just-
have to come and see.
It wouldn't be surprising if you heard one or two songs from Into the Woods. So.
Of course, by then the show's over, but it's not going to intrigue you to go to the show. But if you went to the show, you're going to love hearing it again.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
a great opportunity to get a reprise.
So I just, I keep hearing from different people different things about Into the Woods, and I basically knew the premise. I forgot that they were the Grimm fairy tales. But I knew that, like Cinderella, Red Riding Hood, and all those characters were there. But I'm intrigued with that second half.
Yes.
I
Well, as adults, I think we all know that happily ever after doesn't really exist, right?
I like to think it does.
Well, it's hard to make it happen. Oftentimes, what we think we want, then when we get it, we
Right.
discover, oh, maybe this isn't quite what I
This is
want.
boring.
This isn't what I expected. This is boring, or this is horrible, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
We have a reaction to whatever it is that we finally got. So this is, what do you do with that? How do you deal with that? How do you move on? How do you fix it? And how do you make your way through the challenges of life that come up? That's what the woods are in this story. The woods are life.
see.
The woods are where you go to find yourself, to learn more about yourself, to connect with others, to
And the
to
prince isn't always the
navigate your-
answer.
yeah, and the
No.
prince isn't always the answer.
Exactly.
Really, huh?
Exactly. Yeah.
Whether it's because he turns into a frog or
Right,
was a frog
exactly.
or-
yeah, frog, fraud, one or the other. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think I got a little slice of something there.
Well, and so all of these characters that we know, Cinderella and Little Red and Jack and the Beanstalk, all of these characters are brought together by two kind of everymen. It's the baker and the baker's wife and the witch, and they have a predicament. They want a child. They're trying to have a child, and they can't have a child, and they learn that it's because a curse has been put on their house and on their family. And the witch sets them out on this task to undo the spell so that they can have a child. And that's ultimately what weaves all of these other stories together. So Cinderella and Jack and Little Red Riding Hood and the baker and his wife are all in the woods together, kind of on their individual journeys, trying to get what they want, and end up finding each other in different ways, and realizing that they're all a part of this larger community. And discover what they can do with that. and how
Are
they
you
can
are
help
you
each
going to
other.
call and buy your tickets, Susie?
Yes, come on, get those tickets.
I'm going to win a ticket.
Well,
There you go.
I'm going to
okay.
get out there and find some of these and go for it.
All right.
Perfect.
That's
It's-
a good plan.
It's it sounds kind of like, okay, the cheerleader married the football captain, but after 20 years, it's not quite as exciting as it was back in high school. And so maybe the football captain ends up with Little Red Riding Hood
Maybe.
or something. I don't know.
We'll never
okay.
tell.
All right. We got to go see it.
Yeah,
okay,
you
I got
sure
you.
do.
And it is directed by David C. Johnston. This is another one of the works that he is directing, and our music director is Gary Levitt. One of the fun things actually about this production is in the cast and on the artistic team, we have people who are heading up a number of different arts organizations on the island. So Christy Scott is playing Jack's mother, and she's the executive director of Pro Arts Theater. Gary Levitt, who is our music director, is the head of Maui Choral Arts. Bob Wills, who's playing the narrator, is the artistic director of Maui Chamber Orchestra. And I hope on all of this list I didn't leave somebody out. But that's really fun, and it really speaks to the artistic community here on Maui.
And to the show.
Yes.
We all wanted to turn out for this one.
I would think so. I'll bet you had a tremendous turnout for tryouts.
Oh my gosh, we had to put extra days and times on. We were so, I mean, it was a wonderful, wonderful surprise. Because you just never know how every show that you choose is going to resonate with the performing community. And this one apparently is on many people's bucket list.
Right.
So that was really, really exciting. And I've had the privilege of just sitting in on some of the rehearsals. And all I can say is, wow, I'm so excited.
Where's opening night? Come on, let's do it. Let's do it. So we're talking August 24th, which is this next Friday?
Next Friday, yes. And it's going to run for 2 weekends. So it runs through, I believe, September 2nd, Monday. It's Monday. I haven't had a lot of sleep recently. Please excuse me. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with performances at 7:30 on Friday and Saturday and matinee on Sunday at 3 o'clock.
So we're talking a total of 8 performances? Six.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, yeah.
Wonderful. So call.
Please call 242-SHOW. That's 242-7469. Or you can go to mauiarts.org. That's for tickets to Into the Woods at the MAC.
And it's going to be in the Big Castle Theater.
Yes,
so
it is.
There we go.
A beautiful setting for this gorgeous production.
And it will be fabulous, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Thank you both for joining us today.
Of course.
You guys
Absolutely.
always have such exciting stuff happening, and always so much happening.
Yes.
That's for sure.
You know,
Never a dull moment at MAPPA.
it's just incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like every time I talk to somebody about their kids and activities they're getting into, and of course now they're starting to get all excited about signing up for the classes that you're going to have starting a couple weeks.
Yeah, they actually start next Saturday. We're in registration for them right now.
Gosh,
100
guys-
dance and drama classes a week, folks. So
Yes.
get your kids signed up,
Get your
all
kids signed
different
up.
levels, all ages.
You can call the MAPPA office if you're interested in classes. You can call 244-8760. We can help you there, get you set up for either a dance or a drama class for ages 3 to adult.
Cool. Very good. Okay. I got to wrap this up or I'm going to run out of time, right?
Yes.
Okay. I knew you were going to say that. Maui Nonprofit Notes is sponsored as a community service by Pacific Source, the builder's choice. Give Paul and his staff a call at 986-0380 or stop by their showroom in the Waikapu Bay Shard on East Oahe Way to see how they can help you with your building project. What a day we've had today. We talked with Diane Petropoulos about conflict in the workplace. Decreasing Workplace Conflict is the title of the presentation on Wednesday, August 29th. And we've talked with MAPPA about Into the Woods, which starts next Friday. You got it. Okay. We want you all to join us again next week when I'll have more time to talk. But for now, I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director, Lokai Pacific, and your host. Have a great week, everyone. Aloha.